everyone. It's always nice to have a group that's well-fed, too. They call them lunchtime programs, and oftentimes I'm talking about nutrition and food, and people haven't yet gotten their food, so it's nice to see you've got your food. So my name is Cheryl Marabella. I'm here today on behalf of Kaiser. A little bit of background about myself. I am a nutritional health and wellness coach in private practice in Alexandria. When I'm not doing that, I'm traveling all around doing wellness presentations, usually about 3 to 4 a week. And when I'm not doing that, I'm working side by side with an integrative medical practice in Alexandria, working with 3 family doctors who understand that getting well is more than just the physical body, understanding that it's nutrition and mental health and managing stress. So I lead stress reduction classes for them, as well as nutritional counseling for their patients. So kind of an integrated approach to wellness. And so today I'm really delighted to be able to be here to present this healthy mind, healthy body, managing stress class. And I believe it's probably one of the most important things that we should be attending to today. Because I think so many of us are really feeling the impacts of stress on our bodies in many different ways. So you've all had to get over here today, and you have many things on your plate today. And so just to kind of bring attention to ourselves and to our body, I'd just like you to all kind of get yourself present, maybe plant your feet on the ground, and just kind of shake your shoulders a little bit, and just kind of feel yourself in your body, and know that this hour or this 45 minutes is for you. And hopefully it's a time where you're going to participate and also get some knowledge that hopefully you'll be able to use immediately. So we're going to not only talk about stress and how it affects our body, but we're going to also practice a few techniques. Because I really want to make sure that we don't just talk about it, but that we actually learn and integrate and practice some techniques. So we're going to talk about what stress is about, options for reducing it, practice the relaxation, and then we have so many resources at Kaiser. So just want to make sure that you're aware of all the resources that are available at Kaiser, but also just in general as well, and make sure that your questions get answered. So I just want to make sure that I mention that this is a confidentiality agreement that I just want to put out there, making sure that this is a safe place to share in this room today. And obviously, if you want to share your learning, fine, that's great, please do. But if somebody was to share something of a personal nature, please keep that in the room. Additionally, this does not replace the advice of your physician. So anything that I share with you today is information in an educational format, and definitely please run anything by your physician that would be out of your medical routine. Okay, so I want to ask you a little bit about what stress feels like to you. Where do you notice it? What part of your body? What changes in you do you notice when you're feeling stress? Oh, the hands are coming right up.
I get a lot of my jaw.
Yeah? Oh, she's just like, yeah, she went right. She's good. Okay. It's really important to pay attention to our body and to tune into our body and the messages that our body gives us. And so we all have kind of our Achilles heel, so to speak, of our body and the weak places that sometimes we notice stress settling. So I think back there, you?
Neck and back.
Neck and back. Nobody else feels it there, right? Yeah, I think that's pretty universal. Most of us definitely feel it in the neck and back. Where else?
Neck and shoulders.
Yeah, neck and shoulders. When I heard that you're having a massage person coming to that open enrollment, I'm like, that'll get people there for sure every time. Anyone else?
Elevated heart rate.
Right. And how about lifestyle changes? Do you notice maybe?
I crave junk food.
Yeah, right?
And I want sweet food.
Right. So she wants sweet food. There's a real biological reason why that happens, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Yes?
Also sleep.
Ah.
Sleep that great.
Sleep, big time, right? Yeah. What about digestion? Does anyone notice that? In the medical practice, when I see clients, and so many people come in with IBS and GERD and irritable bowel, and the very first thing I talk to them about before I talk food is, tell me about what's going on in your life stress-wise. Has there been a an ongoing stress situation, or is something just happened more recently? And they look at me like, what does that have to do with anything? It has everything to do with everything. So when we are in a highly stressful situation in our body, we are not producing digestive enzymes. So we literally cannot break down our food. So we can't uptake the nutrition either. So we could be eating all this great, healthy, organic food, but it's not really getting uptaken into our cells. Yeah. Anybody else? TMJ, was that kind of what you were talking about, or is that just tight? Yeah. Headaches? Yep. Yeah. So I think you hit on many of the most common. So what's this? This is our body on stress, but really what this really represents is the fight and flight response, right? So we are hardwired to protect ourselves. We are hardwired to know how to flee a dangerous situation, right? And that's good, right? You're leaving campus, it's dark, you notice somebody running up behind you, and you're feeling like something's not right with this, and the blood rushes to the glucose is dumped into your muscles, and it rushes to your muscles, your heart rate goes up, your eyes and your ears, everything perks up, and you are able to duck away into a safe building. Or child is runs out into traffic, and you can rush to grab them. That's all good. That's survival. We're wired that way. It's a good thing. The problem is that a stressful thought that we create in our mind, our body reacts the exact same way. We move into a state of fight and flight, or we activate our sympathetic nervous system, which gets our heart rate going, our blood pressure up, we stop producing digestive enzymes, our saliva dries up, stop sleeping eventually, all of these things start to happen if we are perceiving a dangerous situation. I'm driving here, I can't find parking. My brain then sends a message down to my adrenal glands to release what? What hormones? Cortisol and adrenaline. Those are the hormones that will get me out of this dangerous situation. I'm behind the wheel of a car. I'm not going anywhere. But my body is still perceiving a very dangerous situation. So it goes through all of those physiological responses that I described. Okay? So don't underestimate your mental, how you're thinking, how you're perceiving situations, does set off that whole cascade of stress hormones, okay? So there's a place for it, and this is good, but there's also a time where we need to be managing and looking at where our thoughts are, and is this the best response that we're letting our body go into this response? So here's what it looks like. There she is, all calm. Then she has a stressful event, and up peaks the adrenaline and cortisol. This line going across is kind of where we want to be, kind of more like this. But when we go up, we're naturally going to come back down, and we're going to be kind of in a up and down state. But the bottom line is that it is normal to have a stressful reaction and then come back to a normal state. That's how we're designed, okay? And the animals do that really well, right? So you've all seen the nature shows, and you see the gazelle being chased by the tiger, and then the gazelle gets away, and all of a sudden you see them just kind of shake it off, and then they go back to eating, right? They're like, eh. They don't go to their fellow gazelles and say, can you believe what he did? I mean, really, like, he didn't turn in that thing, and now the whole team, the project's not going to get done, and he never blah, 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 blah. And so, no, they just kind of shake it off and go back to eating. They go back to normal state. But we don't tend to always do that, right? We tend to perpetuate the mental state of high stress, and that's where we start running into some problems. Now, what we're going to learn today is how to engage what we call the relaxation response, and or the parasympathetic nervous system, or activate that. Another word for that is rest and digest. That's where we'd like to be. So when we are in a chronic state of stress, we never get back to the normal state. I shouldn't say never, but it's harder for us to get there. So here's a kind of a laundry list of what is stressing most people out today. I think it's pretty comprehensive, but if there's something that is not showing up on there that you want to yell out, but I think we are, more than ever, we have so much information. Our brains are really not wired to take in the amount of information that we're taking in. And it's really not healthy for the brain to be constantly being bombarded with information without some downtime, without some real rest, without some mindful attention to other things. Then you pile on, money problems, health concerns, relationship difficulties, and of course, relationship difficulties. Then, money problems creating they all sometimes can interweave into each other. And so, is there anything that is not up here that comes to mind? So, what happens? We have a thought. I'm going to be late. The feeling is panic, right? Then our behavior is maybe I'm going to just start sweating, or I'm going to start driving erratically, and maybe I'll get into road rage, right? And so then I'm going to, again, get a headache. My neck's going to get tense, and then I'm supposed to be here to teach a class. And I'm not really very chill. But there is this whole cascade. So the thoughts set out. And feelings could be, I'm a stressful feeling might be, I'm hurt or I'm angry. A stressful thought might be, I'm not going to do this right. I'm never good enough at this. Behavior might be, what do you use to deal with those feelings, right? What behaviors are sometimes unhealthy behaviors that we choose?
Alcohol.
Right. Keep going.
Cake.
Right?
Smoking.
Right? Yeah. So, there's so many behaviors that we choose to get out of these feelings when we're feeling stressed, right? We all have what works for us, and sometimes we have multiple ones, and they're not necessarily, in the long term healthy. In the short term, maybe not so bad, but if we continue to use alcohol or smoking or overeating or not sleeping or too much internet or too much shopping or whatever, and then eventually that takes a toll on our physical health, right? So we're overeating, we're overdrinking, we're smoking, we're not sleeping. It takes a toll, a serious physical impact. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Here's what's actually happening in the body, right? And really, literally every system is affected when we're in a high stress mode. We start sweating, increased heart rate, again, we eventually feel tired, we're more susceptible to illness. Our immune system is less able to fight even the common cold. Stomach pains, muscles aches, panic attacks, when we get to an extreme state. So pretty much every system in the body is affected. Okay, but that's the bad news, right? So there is some good news. There are quite a few relaxation techniques that can help us to deal with these things. I studied, my master's is in counseling and psychology, but I went for advanced training with the Center for Mind-Body Medicine here in DC. Does anyone know the Center for Mind-Body Medicine, Dr. James Gordon? He does really great work, and he has been for about 30 years teaching mind-body skills. And what I mean by mind-body skills is understanding that there are many, many techniques that we can integrate using the mind and the body to heal ourselves. He has a 12-week program that I was trained in, and he takes these 12 weeks of training, and he takes his counselors, his therapists, and hits the ground in really challenging places, war-torn countries, earthquake survivors. He went to Haiti, he went to the Gaza Strip. He's just everywhere with his counselors that he's trained, kind of boots on the ground. And the very, very first thing that he teaches when he lands and he's in a crisis, with his counselors is a technique called belly breathing. You familiar with belly breathing? So you've probably heard breathing, by many different names, but he loves to use the word belly breathing because it really makes a huge difference if we're getting the breath to the right place in our body. So why does that matter? So what I want to do is real quickly, it looks like most of you stopped chewing, so we can do this. I want you to just without much thought, just take a big deep breath. Yeah. And so what most people do when they take a deep breath is bring the air up here, right? Right? Lungs up here, shoulders go back and up. This is what a good breath is, right? Actually, a belly breath brings, if you imagining the lungs come down all the way down to here, right? Down to here. And when the oxygen gets to the lower part of our lungs, it sends a message to the brain, to that hypothalamus pituitary loop that signals us that we're in fight and flight, back down to those adrenals that you can now stop this fight and flight response. You don't have to talk your way out of it, think your way out of it, counsel your way out of it. Literally, the biological change that happens, the minute your body, there's the vagus nerve that comes down, and there's just all this communication going on in your cells by simply getting the breath down here. Now, I say simply. When I first learned this, I couldn't get my belly to move. Why? Why do you think? Why do you think we're kind of tight here? We're driving. We're at our computers. We're at our phones. Not to mention, this is kind of a vulnerable area. Most of us aren't kind of hanging out like this, right? This is a more protected stance, right? So what is your name? Lauren. So Lauren and I are 3 years old, and we're on the playground, and I come up and I punch Lauren. Lauren's going to go, wah, right? Lauren's going to protect herself. This is an area of protection. This is not an area that not to mention, we're probably also kind of like trying to hold our tummies in most of the time. So when I was asked to learn how to do this, I didn't get a lot of belly movement. But after practice, and all these techniques are a practice, I was able to get a really good belly breath. And it is nice to practice when you're lying down. You get much easier. How many of you have learned or practiced belly breathing? Excellent. Okay. So this will probably come more easily to you. So what I want to do now is I want to actually teach you how to do a proper belly breath. And then I'm going to have you practice some, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to show you, demonstrate a little bit so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. So what you do is you breathe in through your nose, and then you hold it for a count, and then you breathe out a little bit more slowly through your mouth. Now, there's many, many ways to do this. There's many different trainings, many different techniques, and I'm just going to teach you a very, very simple one, just the soft belly breathing, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try the best to show you. I don't know, but because this is the area, and when you practice, you really want to put your hands here, and you want to send the message, this is where I want to relax, okay? All right, so, all right. I don't know if you're able to see that, and then I'm chill. It's like when I'm done with this, I'm like, where am I? What am I doing? So that's good. That's what you want. You want that, like, where am I? No. So what I want you to do is just, to the best of your ability, don't force it. Just relax. Close your eyes. We're not looking at our neighbor like, is she doing it better than me? Okay, it's best to have your feet planted on the ground, kind of sitting in upright. Kind of first do kind of a little bit of an opening, just kind of twist and open so, you're not kind of caved in on yourself. So just kind of open up. And then close your eyes, and I'm going to basically count to the count of 5 for you. I want you to hold it to the count of 1 to 2, and then breathe out to the count of 6, nice and slow. When you exhale, you should have made room for that next inhale. Go right into the next inhale. You got a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask, when you're breathing in, is your stomach going out?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is a,
Breathing out, your stomach's going in.
thank you. So it's a little counterintuitive. Like, so you're breathing in through your nose, with imagining the air coming through your lungs and expanding to the lower part of your belly. And then eventually, when you get really good at this, you do get a little, raising of your chest area because you fill completely up. But yeah, so you're breathing in, the belly comes out. Got it? Don't stress about this. You can certainly practice this when you're not here. Don't stress about this. But if you get this technique, it's amazing. You can do it anywhere. You can do it in a meeting. You could do it in traffic. You could do it at dinner with Uncle Harry, who's getting annoying. Okay, so, all right, so everyone just breathe out first. Shake it out, breathe out. Hands on belly. Breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hold it. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hold it. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. How'd you do? See, you're not here. Good. That's good. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Anybody have a question? Did anybody find that challenging? Someone practice. If you got dizzy, then you're probably breathing up here, and that's like a little hyperventilation. That's not what you want. So just practice. When I teach these classes, they're 4-week classes with groups, and I had a couple sign up, and the husband had high blood pressure, which is why they took the class. Second class, I get a text, sorry, we're not coming to class. We're on our way to the emergency room. My husband fell at home. Text after class. Guess what? We practiced the breathing, and we watched on the monitors. His blood pressure came down 60 points. So they got like the biofeedback. They were sold. It works. Okay, so obviously, if we could all do number 1, we wouldn't be here, right? Like, just take away that annoying fill in the blank, right? But I mean, sometimes there are stressors we can reduce, right? The parent who is working full time and decides to be PTA president with like 3 little kids and, a husband that travels, that's probably not like, I'm sorry if that person's in the room, but, I've had those clients who are not seeing that this is not the season for that level of maybe a volunteer activity. Like, maybe they can show up at the book fair and help out on a Monday night, but like to run the PTA while you've got 3 kids, a full-time job, and not really help at home. So look around in your life and see if there are stressors that you can reduce. If there's that person or people that really you don't have to interact with, but always seem to cause you stress and irritation and negativity, and is that really a person you need to be friends with right now, or things of that nature. So looking around and seeing, even just organizing your home so like where the keys are, right? Where your boots are, so where stuff is. That's really stressful. You're trying to get out of the house and you can't find stuff, right? So these are things you can do to reduce exposure. So shifting your perspective. So what does that mean? Maybe understanding that this is a period in time. Maybe it's tough, but you're going to get through it, and it's not forever. That's kind of a little self-talk, right? So practicing the coping strategies that we'll talk more about, different healthy habits, and obviously finding support if you need it. And there's so much support in so many different ways. We'll talk about that. Do something healthy that you enjoy each day. So what I'd like you to do real quick, I want you to pair up with somebody, and I want you to share about this last bullet. What is something that you're currently doing or something you'd like to do or haven't done or want to do that really brings you pleasure, really brings you joy? So just for a moment, person with the longest hair goes first, and then switch. my heart. I think sometimes we don't really make the time to do the things that we enjoy, and it's really, really important to make sure that those are top of mind, and they're going into your calendar, and you're scheduling fun, and you're scheduling things that bring you joy and pleasure. That's an instant stress reduction technique. Okay, so here's a technique that's called name it to tame it. So what this basically means is something that you can do when you have some time is to kind of look at some of the areas where you're feeling that there's some things that need your attention, right? So maybe it's something at home or something with your health that it's kind of been nagging at you, like you need to go get that screening and you missed October for the, your mammogram, whatever, and you're like, what can I do about this? So you can just kind of write them down and then assign a, like, fix it, leave it, or accept it. So just knowing that you've kind of brought your attention and your awareness. So maybe you're going to fix the problem by making that appointment, or maybe you're going to, leave the work for someone else to do, or you're going to accept the fact that that there's no one else to do it. But you know what I mean. So sometimes just putting some attention on those areas and looking at all the different quadrants that might be bringing you stress. This is just a sampling of some of the quadrants that people would, most likely find issues in. So something like that can be really proactive and very helpful. So now, having done that, sometimes it can stress you out a little more, like, oh my gosh, I have all these things I need to attend to. Well, gratitude is a technique that can be extremely helpful at actually changing the brain. It actually changes the brain in the way that our mental and emotional body looks at things. Now, it's November, and I don't know how many of you maybe participate in a gratitude for the month of November, but I usually always do a gratitude practice daily in the month of November. And what happens is, when we are seeking something to be grateful for, our brain literally changes. So if you are, for example, with an intention of being grateful, and you know that every day, for example, your challenge is to find 3 new things, you're going to be looking, just like we could be actively seeking danger, we could instead choose to actively seek something that's working and that we're grateful for. It might be the most mundane thing. It might be that you just notice a squirrel, taking his little acorns and stashing them away, but you didn't notice that because you weren't attending to nature. And so you just pause and you attend to something, and you'll find at the end of the month, suddenly, your brain seems to move more easily in that direction. Has anyone ever done an active or is doing an active practice of gratitude? Excellent. Have you noticed a difference?
For about 6 months, I did it every day. I eventually got tired of it.
Okay.
Of doing it.
Okay.
So I stopped.
Well, and maybe you had clicked into that's how your brain now works. You don't need to necessarily write it down. Just like when my clients start working with me with nutrition and they keep their food diaries, it's to bring awareness. It's to change a way you're doing something. Hopefully, after 6 months, this is kind of how and what you might find is, wow, I've slipped back into, after 6 months later, you might say, I'm really not noticing these things anymore, and you bring it back in.
I've noticed in my walk from AU to Tenleytown Shuttle, since I've been more just open to gratitude lately, I can smell different smells in the air more than I used to. There's a part in front of the Japanese embassy that you can really smell pine needles. It's
Nice.
Really
That's just what she's talking about is awareness, a present awareness. And we're so not aware anymore because we're so, attending to everything else but what's in the present moment, that sometimes we're missing out on really beautiful things. So using gratitude is a wonderful practice. I highly recommend it. And so just start, very small. You could just start with a gratitude journal where you're writing down 1 thing a day, or you could even, stretch it to 3 things or more. So definitely incorporate that. And what a great month for that. So when we're talking about stress, we really want to look at, there's different aspects that we need to look at. So we have to look at not only the mental that we've just talked about, but we need to look at the physical body. Whoops, sorry. So how many of you use exercise to deal with your stress? Very good. So moving the body, we get more endorphins, and we release a lot of the stressful physical manifestations in our body. It's almost like we go to work, we start our day, it's like we put the tea kettle on simmer, and then as the day goes on, by the end of the day, it can start squealing. But if we kind of go out for walks and we move around and we get some fresh air, and then maybe we go for a run or do some exercise, it's like we're releasing some of that. So exercise is excellent. This second picture indicates good food, good nutrition. How many of you really feel like nutrition has any impact whatsoever on your stress levels? Just some of you, okay. Well, I have to tell you, doing the work that I do, I see the impact is massive, really. And if you've ever seen a child having a sugar meltdown, you know what I'm talking about. We're just really big kids, right, in an adult body. And we are also prone to blood sugar crashes and instability if we're, in terms of our blood sugar if we're not eating enough or not eating often enough, if we're not eating the right foods. So it's really important that we attend to a good diet. And not only the good diet, but when we're eating. So it's ideal to try to eat within an hour of rising, okay, because your blood sugar is already starting to come down. You fasted all night, or at least maybe most of you have, unless you're night walkers. And so your blood sugar is already starting to crash, and so you want to eat within an hour of rising. So you start, keep your blood sugar more stable. And have you ever noticed that if you don't eat breakfast, you're kind of trying to catch up for it the rest of the day anyway? And then you don't want to go more than 3 to 4 hours is ideal for most people. We're all a little unique. But for most people, if we try to keep it within that 3 to 4 hour window, again, what we want, our blood sugar, to do this throughout the day versus this and this and this and this. Because what happens when it's here, folks? What do you reach for? Yeah. Everybody knows who has the M&M stash at their desk and where to find it, right? Did I hear hangry? Did somebody use the word? Hangry, yeah, hangry is a great term. Exactly. And so you're about to walk into a meeting and your blood sugar's crashing and, that's not ideal, especially at work, right? So really trying to eat on a regular basis, and certainly the food that we eat does matter. Ideally, you want to think about combining a protein. It could be vegetarian protein, but it's just protein, healthy fat, and some healthy carbohydrates. Makes a nice meal or snack. So if, say, you're had lunch at noon and you're not going to eat dinner till 7, then maybe having an apple with some almonds, you've got the carbohydrate in the apple, you have the fat and the protein in the almonds. So it makes for a nice combination. It's going to take you a little longer than just the apple would have. Okay? So nutrition is very important for our mental health and for emotional health and just feeling good overall. So spending time with family and doing things that we enjoy is what this other picture represents. So having community, having things that are meaningful to us, spending time with people that we care about, all of that plays into our stress level. Sometimes being around the people we care about the most just calms us down, right? And then getting rest. So I think a few of you mentioned earlier about what happens when you're stressed. So it's kind of works both ways, right? So when we're not sleeping, our stress levels are really high the next day. And when our stress levels are really high, we tend to sometimes not sleep well. Because why? We still have that cortisol and adrenaline, that fight and flight hormone that's going through our body. So how many of you feel like sleep is an issue right now for you? Yeah. And how many of you feel like you might have a clue as to why? Okay. So how many of you feel like the technology is a big part of it? No one?
What do you mean?
The technology, the being on technology at night. So one of the things you want to be thinking about is what I tell all my clients is to try to get off all the technology at least an hour before bedtime. because it's very stimulating to the brain. The dopamine receptor sites in the brain really like all that information that you're seeking. Every like on your Facebook page, every new email that comes in, every new link that has some new information, it's like very excitable to the brain. Ooh, more of that, please. It's kind of like having a good meal or ice cream. It is. It's like very excitable. Not to mention the light that's coming in. So that's not allowing our brain to produce a very important hormone that starts with an M, melatonin. So if we have a lot of light exposure right before bed, we're not producing enough melatonin, which does not allow us to get into a deep restorative sleep. That's just a small piece of it. We also want to make sure that we are not too hungry, not too well fed, that our room is a good temperature, about 68. And if you're sensitive to noise and you don't have little ones at home that you need to listen for, then maybe use a white noise machine. Or if you can't darken your room because you really want it dark, then use a little nerdy eye mask like I do sometimes when I travel. Or you've got a partner who wants the bathroom light on and you don't, so just put a little eye mask on. So those are some things that might help because sleep is so very important. You know how that problem comes at you after that night you haven't slept and you snap? Whereas if you're well rested, it's like, it kind of slides off. Let me go do some breathing, I'll be fine. All right, so there's a lot of other techniques, and this is just a sampling of different things. Meditation, Tai Chi, Qigong, just general exercise in nature, hands in the dirt, massage. Are there anything that anyone would like to share about things that they do that really help them? Stress reduction techniques? Yes? Zumba. Yeah, fun. Absolutely. So dancing, exercising, there's just so many things. So, you might want to just think about trying something new, something different. There's many different things to try. So what I want to do now is I want to take you guys on a little journey, a little mental journey. How many of you have ever experienced guided imagery? Okay. So it's a little misleading, the word guided imagery. It makes you imagine that you're only using your vision or what you can visualize. But actually guided imagery, which is very scientifically well proven, by the way, uses all of your senses. Okay, so all of your 5 senses. And so there's been an awful lot of research, and they're using it quite extensively right now with PTSD, people coming back from war, and they found it very effective. And if this is something that you really like and enjoy, there's a wonderful teacher. Her name is Bella Ruth Knapp-Prasak, and she has guided imagery CDs, and her website is called Health Journeys. And there's some really great information there. So this is just going to be just a very few minutes. I'm going to put some music on. And it's called Liquid Mind. So you get to go a little bit. And I just want to give you one more example of guided imagery in a different kind of sense. So if you've ever watched the Olympics, right? And you've seen the athletes where they've got their headphones on and they're kind of pacing before their event. And they're really focused. So what they're doing is they have their entire routine that they are imagining in their mind. They want it to go exactly. They're seeing it, feeling it, sensing exactly every single step of that routine. And because they do that, it's very effective in their body following suit to that. Okay? So go ahead and close your eyes. Just relax. Notice your back against the chair. And know that you're going on just a very short little journey. And on this journey, you get to pick a place that you consider safe, relaxing, and enjoyable for you. This is a place that you get to choose. And if you're having trouble choosing a place, just focus on one place right now. It could be the ocean. It could be the mountains. It could be your grandmother's kitchen with chocolate chip cookies in the oven. Whatever feels safe and comfortable to you. Now that you've arrived at this place, I want you to look around. Just really take in everything around you. What are you seeing right in front of you? As you turn all the way around, what's behind you? Notice the temperature. Is there a breeze? What are you hearing? Are there birds singing? Are you hearing a surf or the crackle of pine needles under your feet? This is your little journey, your special place. Look around, and if there's anything that you need to bring into this place to make it even more comfortable, you can do that. If there's anything that you need to remove to make it more comfortable, you can do that. Now take a nice deep breath and just really feel how good it feels to be in this place. And know that you can return to this place at any time you choose. Notice the colors, the sounds, the smell, what it feels like in your body to be in this place. Now take a mental picture as you look around and know that you can return here at any time. And now you want to start to notice your back against the chair. You want to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome back. Who tried to go to two places? First time I was led into this, it was like, I was so glad when the facilitator said, pick a place. Mountains Beach, Mountains Beach. So just know, remember when we talked very early on about our body follows our brain? So our thoughts create what the physical response is in our body. So at any point, you can give yourself permission to go on a little mental break. We give ourselves full permission to do awful, worst case scenario thinking all the time, right? We don't even think like there's something wrong with that. Of course we're going to go into worry and anxiety and fear. Everybody does that. But when we give ourselves permission to purposely daydream a pleasant experience, sometimes we're like, really? Really, I don't know. But why not? Use your creative mind to bring yourself to a place of peace and calm. Your body follows your brain. So if you take yourself there, that was like 4 minutes. Now you're in that parasympathetic nervous system has been activated. You're digesting that meal you ate at noon. Everything's good. Okay? Questions about that? Okay. All right. So now we just want to address if your stress is getting to the point where you're noticing any of these bullets, so you are not eating or overeating, you're not sleeping, or you're oversleeping. I taught a class last week on stress, and someone said, is it okay if on the weekends I sleep about 15 hours? I'm like, yeah, I think that's a problem. So that would be, I think you need to get some support around that. So little interest in activities, kind of not really doing anything that's fun anymore, difficulty concentrating, moody, edgy, angry, irritable. So any of these things pop up, this is when you might want to, if you're noticing this is going on for a period of 2 weeks or longer, then maybe you want to seek some extra support. So you can obviously reach out to your employee assistance program, if you're a Kaiser member or whatever health insurance plan that you have. Certainly talk to a family member. I think it's very important to have those people in your life that will, like I like to use the expression, hold a space for you when you need to share something. And what I mean by that is just, not necessarily interrupting you and offering you advice, but just letting you kind of work it from this part of your brain, the amygdala, which is that overactivated stress place, to coming back up to the prefrontal cortex where you can actually solve a problem. Have you ever noticed that? If you're actually able to talk about the problem and you're not interrupted and no one offers advice, you usually go, oh, I know exactly what I need to do. Thank you so much. You were amazing. Thank you. God, you're so good at that. And you're like, didn't do anything. Clergy, physician or mental health professional, or support groups. You can go to kp.org and /depression, get some information there.
I want to share
Yes.
that all full-time faculty and staff have access at AU to the Faculty Staff Assistance Program, where you can meet with a counselor for free, 6 sessions per incident per year.
Wow.
For free. So
Thank you.
You can contact us at HR if you want more information.
Thank you. So that's wonderful. So you have resources. Kaiser also offers wellness coaching by phone. Here's the phone number. And we offer on all of these topics or together. So managing stress, healthy weight, physical activity. You can actually work with a coach on the phone who will help you reach your goals around these issues.
I'll just put a plug in for Care First and people who don't have Kaiser. There's also telephonic coaching for people who have taken a health assessment recently, whether you're a waiver or just telephonic coaching as well.
Yeah, most plans now do have resources both online and coaching. So here's what we covered, strategies that we covered today. Hopefully those things that you talked about, the things you enjoy, you'll actually go out and do those more often. And I hope that you practice some of the techniques. The breathing is very powerful, very effective. You can go on your little mental journey anytime you like as well. And then what I'd like to do, we have about a few minutes left, I'd like to end with the second technique that Dr. James Gordon, when he hits the ground running, in these places where people are needing support, like I mentioned, war-torn and disaster areas, et cetera, he does what's called shaking. So literally, if you can shake something off, even if you're just sitting at your desk and you're feeling really tense, if you literally shake, that cortisol and that adrenaline moves out of your body. So I'm going to put a little music on. Now, I do want to say before we do that, we do have 2 evaluations. I appreciate your extra time. There's a Kaiser one, and then you have your own. You have some great handouts you can take with you. So if you wouldn't mind doing those evaluations before you leave and turning those in. And then I'm just going to put the music on, and you can leave as you see fit. I appreciate your time and attention today. All right, so this is what it looks like. You basically ground your feet and you just shake it. You can come on up and do it too. Come on, stand up.
Go ahead, Jessica. I love dancing. She said dancing is her stress reliever.
It is, and you don't have to dance. You're just literally shaking it off. I know, you have a glass window here, I get it, but I teach this all over town, and when I show up in agencies I've been in before, they're like, oh, there's a shaking lady. But this really helps. It only takes a few minutes. So thank you very much.